Hey guys, Palsteron here, and I wanted to quickly show off what I've been doing with all my currency I've been farming over the last 10 days or so. I've been putting it all into this character. Now this is Moonstrike on a Bing2. Bing2 being the new spellcaster hero that has all sorts of different interactions with its machines and also spell burst. Now there's a ton of reasons why I like this character. The biggest one probably being the AoE, being the fact that I can be sort of hipster and play an attack-based build on a spellcaster talent, right? But it all comes together with Wax and Wane. This is one of the supports that Moonstrike has that makes it so it can spell burst. Moonstrike is also a skill that inherently scales with spell damage and spell multipliers. It is not, as you can see, a spell in itself, so plus to spell levels or anything like that doesn't work, but these do. I was gonna play this build even before the league started, but there was a bit of a concern here because Solid River, which procs, basically auto procs my Moonstrike, does say that it only triggers spells. It says spell skill right here. And that is a different wording than, for example, the activation medium. And I really wanted to play Solid River because it solves your recovery. It's just an extremely, extremely good helmet. And then I bought it for like 7 KFE once I had it farmed up, and turns out it does actually work. So here we are. And the second thing that made me want to play this build is Law of Greed, which gives you insatiable greed, which means that bonuses to attack speed also apply to spell burst charge speed. You can combine this with the Magister play safe to make it so cast speed works at 100%, and then you can scale, for example, things like attack and cast speed, which double dips. So you get 7.5% attack speed as spell burst charge speed and then 5% of cast speed. It does work. The fact that this amulet exists and I can scale a ton of attack speed also means that I can whirl around, whereas a lot of other spellcasters will have to do some other things. I know there is, you can frost blink around and whatnot, but I really hate the skill is on cooldown in the middle of the screen over and over. This is just incredibly, incredibly cozy, and you also never have to like still attack, right? So you don't have to stop. It is basically like a spellcaster, but in attack scaling. Now Moonstrike has a little bit of a mana theme here, with mana stacking giving more damage and with Lunar Ring giving you extra chance to get the AoE, but I did not feel like it was worth it. I am still running the compensatory life just because a little bit extra life is still a little bit extra damage, and you get a 6th aura, and that's one of the biggest things about this build. It can actually run 6 auras. You get 1 from the boots, 1 from the belt, and then 4 right here. And since it's an attack and a spell, that also makes it extremely flexible to what auras it can use, meaning I don't have to do any weird conversion shenanigans whatsoever. All I'm doing is converting from Fizz directly to Cold. I'll quickly show you a map right here because, yeah, this is probably the smoothest mapper I've ever played in this game, and that says a lot. So you can basically just whirl around, do this. I'll also quickly show you a card jack. Yeah, you're just hitting everything on screen, and you're just going through everything like butter. So the card jack is also very easy. You just stand in the middle and you kind of chill until everything dies. There is occasionally these cannons. If they come too close, they will kind of shield the mobs around it. But in general, this is how it's going to look like. I quickly finished the map, but I think you get the gist. Now, one of the things that I love about this build also is the AoE. The AoE is very, like, all-encompassing. It's not like Shadows where it depends on how much enemies there are around. It is like Berserking Blade, basically. Berserking Blade is maybe a little bit better because it perfectly hits everything, whereas Moonstrike, some of the projectiles don't go out perfectly, but it is just awesome feeling. Now, the AoE on this build is because we're Spell Burst and we're Fervour Stacking. Let's go over that. So there's not too much to know about Bing in general. He has like 2 machines, and they kind of feed off of each other, and you're proccing stuff, but the TLDR is it gives good damage multipliers. It has maximum spell burst, gives you extra spell burst charge speed. There's even more you can do in Endgame, which I haven't gotten to yet, like the really crazy Endgame stuff. You get a little bit of movement speed sometimes, but that's about all it is. Bing2 is very strong, and I would say it's above average. I tried this on Gemma 3, and it was actually worse, which means a lot. Gemma 3 is a very consistently strong character. But yeah, the biggest deal here is that we are Fervour Stacking, which gives us a ton of increased area of effect. I'm getting 1% AoE per 3 Fervor rating, and if you see right here, my AoE right now is 156, but that does not take into account my Kismet right here, which gives me 10% increased AoE for each spell burst stack, and currently I am on 9, so that's another 90% AoE. But let's go over Fervour Stacking real quickly. Now, it all begins here with the Unmatched Valor Prism with have Fervour, which if you don't know what Fervour is, intrinsically all it does is it gives you 2% crit chance per point, which at 100 points, which is the normal, it gives you 200% crit, and at 150, it gives you 300% crit. So at face value, like, that seems okay. Until you realize some of the other synergies with, for example, Ghost Slaughter. So Ghost Slaughter gives you 1% more damage per 1 Fervour. On face value, that's 150% more damage, but you can actually scale stuff like Fervor Effect, as I have on my ring right here. And in total, I have approximately, I think, 250% Fervor Effect right now. I'm not even close to finished on that, but that is what I currently have. So the gloves give me round about 500% more damage. On top of that, you get AoE from it, which is 1% skill area for every 3 Fervor rating, which also scales with Fervor Effect. So that's where all our AoE is coming from. And the downside with Consume Life, it's kind of cool because I thought it would be annoying, but it does not interrupt Energy Shield recharge. So all that's going to happen is it's going to trickle down a little bit, and then after you triggered your Energy Shield interval, it goes back up. So the gloves are huge. The amount of crit you get with Fervor Effect is outrageous. My crit is so overcapped, it is wild, which makes it so I can use these Kismets right here. Activate the following, +2 spell burst upper limit, which is huge. I go from 7 to 9, and the downside is I get the crit unlucky, which doesn't matter. If you had 100, unlucky does nothing. 150 fervor also opens up attack focus to be an absolutely ridiculous support. I get 2.85 times 15 more damage. And on top of that, a little bit of crit, 42% more damage, which is way above what I would otherwise have. And it also gives me crit. But the most broken thing, and that a lot of people don't know about, is Centralize actually works with the 150 fervor, with the fixed fervor. Some people already know this because they tested it with the belt that also has fixed fervor, but it does, I can also confirm it does work with the Unmatched Valor just as well. So what happens is you get 0.8% less damage taken for every 1 fervor consumed. It does technically consume, but it never goes away. And then you get half of that as damage reduction, which turns out to 60% less hit damage taken. That is basically another block. And we have block on top of this. Just so you're aware, the survivability on your character does not take Centralize into account. So that means that your survivability is actually more than double than what it shows on the dummy. Another thing is Moonstrike says it needs you to dual wield, but it actually doesn't if you are triggering it with Spellburst Helmet, right? With the Solid River. So just so you know, you could be using a two-hander, you could be using a shield, it doesn't matter. Some other stuff we're doing, we're using the new inverse image, which reflects the nodes in its circle, in its 3x3 rectangle, onto the start of the area. So you can see this one gets reflected over here, but with no connections, which is very, very strong. So what keeps happening here is, this is already played by a lot of Bing, so you might know about this, but the +1 max spell burst gets carried over and it gets 50% increased effect. And that is a roll down here. This one's quite expensive. And if you get this, it actually gives you +2. So you go from, once again, 7 to 9, which is insane. It also makes it so you only have to take 1 point. You don't have to take any of these ramp up points. And you get to take this one right here, which is super, super strong. And this one as well. So yeah, this area is huge. The rest is very straightforward. I guess I do have the Unmatched Valor right here. So this is where usually you have like this triangle, right? Or this like 3-way thing with Demolisher Charge, Steep Strike Chance, and Shadow Quantity. But I put it here so I don't have to take the nodes before, and I can take all these 1-pointers and they all give me Steep Strike Chance, which is currently not fully, I think I'm on like 80% or something, which is obviously not optimal, but I'm working on it. And yeah, that's kind of all there is to it. The last talent right here, I went for Sentinel for full defense, which gives me 60% less damage over time. I was so tanky with the block plus the Fervour Stacking angle that the only thing that really killed me were dots, so that's why I'm here. And yeah, if you want to get this to 15 trillion, you will probably want to go for a Ranger. If you don't care about the dot max hit, you go keep it up. This gives you another 48% more damage with no downside because we're super overcapped on crit chance. It's ridiculous, and there's even more fervor effect, more fervor synergy. Yeah, I just didn't need the damage at this point because I'm farming Profound. Now, I know you might think this build is decked out already, but I can guarantee you that it's not even close. This build still has no aura, like almost no aura supports, which would give us another, it would probably give us another 50, 60, maybe more % damage. we have like a ton of non-ultimate modifiers. So yeah, while I feel like, oh, also I completely bricked these boots. If you had really good boots with a corruption down here and like 30% aura effect, that's another double damage. So like you could get to 50, 100 trillion on this build. You're attack based, you're spell based, you have 6 auras. I still don't have the perfect Kismet. I have 0 undetermined fates right here. So yeah, if you're looking for a build that goes into like infinity, this is probably one of the better choices. But yeah, that's about all I got. I will now be transitioning to PoE1 most likely. So you guys will be hearing a lot about that. And I had a blast this Torchlight season, as always. And I didn't jive too much with the league mechanic, but just the progression and the new itemization. Prisms are awesome. I really hope they stay in the game. In general, I hope you guys had fun too. And since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.